In today's video, we are going to be discussing some interesting rumors surrounding an AEW wrestler who was pulled from the AEW roster. Has this person been released? What are the contracts? What is going on here? We're going to talk about that. Also, ROH possibly for sale. We got some more updates talking big numbers. Really ridiculous story that's floating around, but we got to discuss that. Also, Tony Khan talking about NFL players coming to AEW. Very, very big. Something I 100% support. So we will discuss that. All right, guys, let's talk about Supercard of Honor. It's happening this upcoming WrestleMania weekend. It's going to be a very interesting show. They have confirmed that Shane Strickland is making his debut. Denise Salcedo, the YouTuber slash wrestling media personality, will also be a guest host for the show. In addition to that, we know the Briscoes will be there. Plus, we got some Hall of Fame stuff. Good on ROH for coming back from this hiatus. This report that came out from Fightful last night, though, it's a little bit too interesting for me. A little bit too weird, I should say. So Sean Ross Sapp and Fightful dropped this report that multiple wrestling companies and a few media companies were interested in purchasing or partnering with Ring of Honor, but the price point was said to be significant, with figures being mentioned up to $50 million. Fightful also heard that a wrestling fan who is considered to be highly wealthy or very wealthy, heard the price was about $30 million for 50% ownership of Ring of Honor. Now, this to me is absolute crap. I don't know who in the hell at Sinclair Broadcasting or ROH or whatever. I don't know who the hell thinks this company is worth $20 to $50 million. I don't know who the hell would want to spend this kind of money for ROH. I don't know why AEW would be interested, because I think deep down inside, from a fan's perspective, the way I see it, AEW really just wants the all-in footage. If I had to guess, I feel like they would want the footage. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people that worked in AEW and worked in ROH, right? They've worked for both companies. Now, that would be an incentive for AEW to potentially have the rights to that footage. So I could totally understand why AEW would do something like that. But they're not worth $20 to $50 million. I don't think that would be a smart move whatsoever for Tony Khan. Look, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money. Do what you feel you want to do. You made a, $20 million investment for the video game stuff. You invest your money however you see fit. If you're Impact Wrestling, I say the same thing. Like, that money, you can go and bring in better talent, because ROH doesn't have a roster. ROH has now become a super indie company, which I'm glad they're sticking around, but I just don't see how ROH could be worth this money. WWE and NBC might want it for Peacock. Yeah, it's the television rights, but I just can't see how the tape library could even be worth $10 million. Okay, so when I see that ROH could be heading towards a sale, I get very, very intrigued by the possibilities of somebody buying them and what the hell happens after. Because keep in mind, their entire roster have become free agents. These people could sign anywhere they want. Now, if ROH if they had kept their roster, okay, now you got some heavy hitters on that roster. Now it makes some sense. Let's get some rights to those contracts, keep who we want, get rid of the other people. We got the pay-per-views, we got the TV deals, but ROH has not really been strong on its own for the last several years. And I would even go as far as saying as GCW has suppressed all momentum that ROH once had, which sucks because I think ROH had some good stuff, but they're not worth $20 to $50 million. I just don't believe that. And I don't know. I mean, all of this is happening right before Tony Khan makes this big announcement, which makes you think, okay, well, is Tony Khan buying ROH? Is Cody Rhodes going to run ROH? Because this is the long floating rumors of it's a work. Well, if it is a work and Cody Rhodes is going to go buy ROH with AEW and this is all one big work and AEW is going to run ROH, I really don't know how this is going to look in the long run, but I don't think it's going to look good. I do like the idea of ROH having a television deal with like Warner Media, but I just don't see that being likely. I want to talk about Tony Khan talking about NFL players in AEW because I 100% support this. There's actually been quite a few people I've seen personally tweet about this, just talking about how it's nonsense. AEW should never do this. Absolutely ridiculous, by the way. But we have seen people in the NFL come to wrestling. I mean, for crying out loud, Rob Gronkowski won the 24/7 championship. We've seen a lot of stuff throughout time in wrestling. And, I think NFL players should very well come to wrestling, but I want to talk specifically about this Tony Khan story. So when speaking to Jim Varsalone of the Miami Herald, Khan says he is asked all the time by NFL players about getting involved with AEW. He actually uses a specific example of Fred Taylor, who he believes would be a force in the ring. I also agree that Fred Taylor would probably be really good, but there's a lot of people who ask Tony Khan about getting involved in AEW, and he's not necessarily like closed-minded about this. I think Tony Khan is a very smart business person in the sense of what he can do to bring both worlds together, or all of his worlds together, whether it's Fulham Football Club, Jacksonville Jaguars, whether it's all of those, or AEW. Now, let me make it very clear. Trevor Lawrence, #1 draft pick, right? The Jacksonville Jaguars are booty. They're not good, but here's the big but. Get people talking about your franchise. The franchise is worth over $1 billion. Get people talking about your franchise. Have Trevor Lawrence show up in AEW sitting ringside. Have a heel, be a piece of shit, say something, maybe even spill a beer on him or something. Let Trevor Lawrence smack the shit out of him. And there you go. You got people talking about everybody. You got people talking about AEW and NFL. We have seen time and time again when NFL players or sports players get involved in wrestling, people talk about it. A whole different audience talks about it. I'm not saying bring in Trevor Lawrence and put him in a feud with Max Caster. No. What I'm saying is build some social media content around it. Have him appear on TV in the crowd. Do some small things. Get people involved. And if you're lucky, maybe one of these football players actually retire and maybe they do transition to a pro wrestling career, which is not uncommon. We've seen it before. But yes, I support it 100%. It's a good business decision. Guys, I want to talk about Chavo Guerrero. What the hell is going on with Chavo Guerrero? He was recently pulled from the AEW roster website. What's very interesting is when responding to this, Chavo Guerrero says, "News to me," with the shrug emoji. And a lot of people are really confused. So Chavo Guerrero responds to this. He goes, "That's news to me. I guess having Tony Khan telling me to go film Young Rock Season 2 and my job will be waiting for me when I'm done didn't mean much." Now, the reason why this becomes very interesting and a very chaotic situation is because there was obviously duties that Chavo Guerrero has outside of AEW, which is completely fine. But the fact that he's pulled from the roster page is very interesting. Also, the fact that he hasn't been used since the beginning is very interesting. So a lot of people don't really know what the hell is going on with AEW and some of these people not being used. Now, if Chavo Guerrero is in fact leaving the company, and this is just like some stuff to discuss and try to justify, like that's fine. I think transparency is always good. So look, I think it's very well possible that Chavo Guerrero is in fact doing stuff with the Young Rock TV show. And I think he will come back to AEW. But there is this narrative that is floating around on the internet. That's not true. He's not going to be there. I don't believe that. Now, as the story develops, we will talk about it. But why was he removed from AEW roster page? Again, he hasn't been seen on TV. So it's all very confusing. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And I'll see you next time. Myself.